Hey everyone, it's Dan here at the Evolving Music blog, and I'm here to answer another question. And I apologize, it's been probably a couple months for me to get to this question, so I'm just catching up. So hopefully the person that asked it is still looking for the answer. It's a great question though, and it has to do with teaching kids in kind of that like 11 to 14 age range. And I'm just going to go ahead and read some of the question and then answer it as best as I can. So it's over here on my computer. The person wrote and said, "I'm struggling with a small group of my students and wanted your opinion." I can try to do that. These students are 11 to 14 years old. They have all reached level 2B in Piano Adventures. They do not practice or read notes very well and have reached this level with hardly ever practicing. I'm convinced that the only time they touch piano is the 30 minutes in my studio once a week. I do not chastise or berate them for not practicing, that's good, but their progress has stopped. I give them lots of supplemental music, I arrange pop music they listen to for them, I practice each and every piece with them and do not expect perfection. I'm stuck, I've run out of ideas. I think we've all been in that situation before. Sorry, there's a fruit fly. Do I have them continue to go over these songs for weeks and weeks without finishing them, just keep moving on without attempting mastery? And then she goes on a little bit and basically asks, have I had too low of expectations from the beginning? Is there something I'm missing with the Faber method? Do I just keep on doing what I'm doing? Well, I'm going to try to answer that question the best I can, and remember, these are just my opinions and based upon my personal experience. Every student, every situation is going to be totally different, so I'm just going to try to answer this from kind of a generic point of view to give you some ideas and a frame of mind, and then see if you can take that and apply it to your specific situation. So I came up with a list of a few things on the board here to just kind of touch upon that will hopefully help in these kinds of situations. The first, it says, attention and interest equals progress. And what I mean by that is, kind of up before age 11, progress is very linear, and it's very easy to kind of measure with that age of a student. You start them in the method books, and they go through song by song, and they go through and get to different levels. And it seems very much like smooth sailing all along. What I found with my students that hit that age, 11, 12, 13, 14, especially when they've been taking lessons for a few years, is I kind of shift my thinking to progress being keeping their attention and keeping their interest and enthusiasm. And so I try to do things week after week, month after month, to keep that interest and that enthusiasm there, because I think that's what will really drive them to continue and hopefully progress in that usual linear type way. Second, she does kind of ask in the question, or she does mention that she tries pop songs and different things like that, and I usually try to expand that even greater to really like trying things that even seem totally out of left field. For example, I have a student that just hit that age, 11 or 12, and he's very much in the same type of situation. And one thing that I was in tune to is that he really liked singing while he played along. So some of his lessons actually turned a little bit more into singing focused, with piano as kind of the vehicle to help him learn the notes that he wants to sing. And that's just one example. I mean, I've had students that age try all kinds of stuff. They've tried drumming. One student tried playing the bass for a few weeks. A few students tried maybe jazz or blues. You really have to be in tune to kind of like what you're thinking that their interest might be, and try to come up with things from there. But the basic rule here is to not be afraid of anything. Just try stuff and see what happens. Don't limit your thinking. Thirdly, she kind of mentions that they've really progressed to level 2B, maybe 3A, without really learning a lot of the basics very well, like actually being able to read the notes and things like that. And I think at this point, one thing you might want to consider doing is trying to review the basics right back down to what is a note, what's a quarter note, what's an eighth note, how do you count quarter notes and play your song at the same time. Can you point to the book and name all the notes without playing anything, without a piano nearby? Like going back to some really basic stuff. Because what you might find is, a lot of times I find with kids this age, is that they've gotten to a certain point, and if there's something they've been confused about month after month, year after year, oftentimes they don't tell you about it because maybe they're embarrassed, or maybe they just think that they should know that stuff already, and they think maybe you would think that they're stupid even for asking basic questions. So I find that it's actually really good to kind of jump right in and take the ball at that and ask them some really basic review questions. And of course you might frame it in a way where like it's a game, or maybe it's like a new song or something like that, so they feel that it's something that all of the students do, and so they don't think it's something that you're checking up on so much. Fourth, and this is one of my favorite ones, especially 13, 14-year-old kids. I like to surprise them with music that is 2, 3, 4 levels harder than anything they've ever seen before. Just during one lesson, maybe like you've been trying the same song for 10 minutes, like a song in 2B or 3A, and it's just not working. Grab some Bach, or grab some simple Mozart or simple Beethoven, and stick it in front of them and say, you know what, I'm going to have you learn this. And what I find this does, it kind of like shocks them a little bit, and they instantly, like, a lot of kids that age want something to kind of like push them in a way, something that will grab their attention. And I think surprising them with music that's way out of left field like that can be also an interesting tactic to try. Fifth, deadlines. I think a little dose of discipline, as much as I'm, I kind of like to try to get my students to practice through positive influence and a positive relationship. I do think that some deadlines and a little bit of discipline is also very important. Ways that you can impose some deadlines and discipline is maybe pick a date where they're going to record one of their songs that they're learning. And on that date, they have to record it, and you're going to make a CD out of it, or you're going to put it on their iPod so they can let their parents hear it. That would be one type of deadline. Maybe you want to have a little mini recital. Maybe have like 4 or 5 of your students come in on an evening and have like a little mini recital every maybe 2 months or so. Those kind of deadlines I find really push kids that age to meet those expectations. And you'll be surprised that it'd be like 2 days before the recital and you have no idea if they're going to play the song correctly, and all of a sudden they get it. Just like that. They surprise you. Sixth, I think that's 6, when we have 6, would be technology. And in a future post, I'm going to show a great note game that I've been using on my iPhone as one form of technology that I think has been really helpful. But also, I mentioned recording, and you also might want to consider recording them like on a computer or something like that, or maybe you have some music notation software, some recording software, or some other type of thing incorporating technology, an iPad, anything at all, even an electric keyboard, something to also grab their attention. Another thing that I incorporate too is the use of analog synthesizers that I have all around my studio here. That can also grab their attention and interest, and you might get a little mileage out of that as well. And then 7th, I know I have a lot here, but I'm really hoping this stuff helps. So I'm sorry if you're asleep already. 7th, and I'm sorry if you know this stuff too, social encouragement. This is a huge one, especially as they approach 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grade. They start to be very concerned about what their friends are saying and thinking and doing and all this stuff. And I find that if you can kind of encourage them to share their music somehow in a social way where they're almost, I don't want to say being judged, but where they know that a peer is going to be listening to what they're doing or interested in what they're doing. That's also another good form of encouragement. So something you might want to do is encourage them or require them to share maybe a recording that they've done, or actually play for a friend, in person. Maybe they have maybe you can grab onto an opportunity at school, like a show and tell or a talent show or anything like that, that will force them to meet that deadline and kind of be reviewed in front of their peers. That's also some good encouragement right there. And then another form of social encouragement or engagement is collaborating with their peers. So as piano students and as pianists, we're kind of in solitude a lot of the time, because piano is a solo instrument, and it's not like playing saxophone or drums in band, where you're getting together 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week with all your peers in band or something like that and playing music with them. Piano is very solitary, so you might want to actually have maybe once a month have a little duet session in your studio. Have 2, 3, 4 of those kids in that age come in all together, and you're getting a deadline, you're getting social encouragement all wrapped in together, and maybe they play some of their songs together, maybe they can collaborate a little bit together and write some music or record, and there's all kinds of things you can do once you start mixing in having 2, 3, 4 piano students together, working together. And that kind of falls under being creative as well. And then, of course, if you're comfortable with theory, with jazz, with improv, this is a great age to start throwing those kinds of aspects into the music as well. A lot of kids that age definitely grab interest with jazz and improv. Just show them a simple blues scale, maybe show them a simple 12-bar blues, how to play the chords to that. And that's a whole other world of possibilities right there. And then lastly, I'd like to just mention, when they get to this age, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe we've been teaching them already for 3, 4, 5 years. And at that point, it's kind of like this problem that we see on the surface. It's very obvious. But one thing that I try to do when I get a new student at age 6, 7, 8, I try to think preventatively, so when they get to that age, 11, 12, 13, 14, I know for sure that they definitely know how to read their notes, they definitely know their rhythms, so when they get to that age, that pulls that part of the problem out of the equation. So at age 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm always reviewing the basics and trying to prevent these kinds of problems before they come up at ages 11, 12, 13, 14. And so I know it was kind of long, but hopefully there were some things in there that were helpful to answer her question. And lastly, she asked, when do you move your students out of the method books and into regular repertoire, and which repertoire books do you use? And I definitely take this on a case-by-case basis as far as moving students out of the books. I try to be very aware of what their interest level is, also compared to their skill level. And I try to gauge when they might be getting a little bit bored with the method books, and when they're ready to actually try some real repertoire and what that repertoire would be. So it is a little bit different for everybody, but I have found myself moving kids to repertoire music probably right around this age, I'd say 10, 11, 12, not really a whole lot younger than that unless they're very advanced. And she asked what method books do I use, and I have a few here. These aren't the only ones. I happen to have these here right now. I kind of like this, the Piano Bench of Classical Music. These are the repertoire pieces as is. They're not simplified in any way. Now, of course, you're going to get some weird fingerings and things like that, but I think overall this is a great book because it has probably a few hundred pieces in here, some of the most popular pieces. And then kind of like an easier version of that book would be this Easy Piano Classics, which is easier arrangements of the real repertoire. And then lastly, one other book that I use too that I don't have here is The Joy of Music. I forget who that's by, but a lot of 14, 15-year-olds that I have really gravitated towards those books and taken a big liking to them. So I know this was kind of long, but I hope it helps, and thanks so much for asking the question. Feel free to ask some more questions. I'll be trying to get them a lot more quickly in the future. And if you're on YouTube watching this, the website is evolvingmusicedu.com. Thanks a lot.